suffering is necessary for flourishing. I hope that today I can make it more clearly why you cannot really flourish without understanding or managing suffering well. Okay? Frankl is often credited as the first person to talk about meaning and suffering. To him, he's the first one to recognize that to search for meaning and to search for, especially to search for the meaning of suffering is at the core of human spirituality. Okay? So in other words, if you want to live a meaningful life, if you want to be fully human, develop your potential, you want to flourish, then you have to be able to do it through suffering, through understanding, transcending, and transforming suffering. Okay? And most people have a negative reaction to the word suffering. Actually, they do not recognize that suffering is an inevitable, normal part of life. In fact, suffering is the other half of our life, just like day and night consisting of our life. Similarly, suffering is part of life. And Ronnie's earlier testimony mentioned that suffering can add a level of depth to our lives. It can also have the magical quality of making us better human beings, make us more humble, more compassionate. So we really, really can be our best without recognize the importance of suffering. So here, we try to have better handle on suffering is try to understand, to have this 2x2 contingency table to indicate, to classify suffering. Now, internal versus external, controllable versus uncontrollable. These are well-known and well-accepted categories. But we need to keep in mind that these categories are fuzzy categories. I mean, there isn't a clear line of demarcation between what is internal, what is external, what is controllable, what is uncontrollable. But anyway, it is a helpful distinction. For example, we can all tell that what is outside our body is external. The weather, the government, the bad people, they're external. And we also know that some things is within our control, some things are beyond our control. For example, the Stoic philosophers make it a big deal that if we want to be happy, if we want to be our best, we have to know what is beyond our control, what is within our control. If we do the right thing regarding what is within our control, then we can become decent human beings, then we can enjoy a sense of calm happiness. Okay? So this is a helpful distinction. Okay? You'll notice that most of the things that we suffer from are actually within our control. Okay? The tragedy of human life is so much suffering is self-inflicted. And I have clients who are successful beyond their own imagination. They got everything. They have achieved all their dreams, but yet they're still miserable. And I have many friends who have everything that they ever wanted to be happy, but they're not able to enjoy life. They're still miserable. So people suffer from overthinking, suffer from comparing, unfavorable comparison with other people, suffering from worrying about the future and regret for the past. And people suffer from all kinds of things. Okay? So that's why the first thing we should recognize is that if we ask ourselves, what are we suffering from right now? We'll discover that most of our suffering comes within ourselves, from our thoughts, our heart desires, our fears. And people often ask, why bad things happen to good people? Actually, Job is the first one in the Bible, the first one who raised this question. We all know the story that Job is a righteous man. But all kinds of disasters happened to him, and all his friends point a finger at him and said that you must have done something bad. That's why you have all the bad things happen to you. As if that it was a punishment. But they do not realize the truth is that suffering happens to everyone. Some kind of suffering happens to everyone. So stop asking why. That is part of life. We do not know all the activities behind the will. One day when I see God, we'll know why something happened. But we don't know what happened. But usually suffering help us to live a more balanced life, live a deeper life. We know that there isn't much research, but we know for some research, they imagine if your life is if you don't know how to work, if you have all the money, all the means to do whatever you want, that's actually a recipe for disaster. There's some research on super rich children from super rich family. Many of them have problems. So it's not possible for human beings have everything going for them, only have good things happen to them. That's horrible, okay? We think that's good, but actually it's horrible. Because if we do not know suffering, you do not know what happiness is. When you have everything, you don't know what to do with your lives. So, God knows that by our human nature, we need both burdens and blessings. We need day and night. We need sorrow and joy. You only have the good. Our life is most boring. We'll be like monsters. If we only have everything our way, we'll become monsters. So at least suffering, apart from that, suffering also serves 4 functions. The first is diagnostic. Just like when our body has some pain, is very important. We know we see the doctor to find out what's wrong with us. Similarly, when we feel unhappy, when we feel unease, when we suffer mentally, there's something in our life is out of balance. That something is not quite right with our lives. So it's diagnostic. Maybe we spend too much time on our work, ignore our family. Maybe sometimes we do not have enough sleep, we overwork, not have enough sleep, our body is crying out for rest. And suffering is also curative. Because once you realize there's something wrong with our life, then it'll trigger a search for meaning, it'll trigger the urge to make changes. So when we make positive changes, our life will be better. Thirdly, suffering is redemptive. My friend McAdams read a story, The Redemptive Life. It's a beautiful story about human beings, is that they're capable of finding ways to redeem their life. For many middle-aged people, they realize time very short. They want to make amends for their past mistakes. So they began to change for the better. So life is redemptive. Suffering is redemptive. Finally, suffering contributes to our growth. That all the great things in life, are on the other side of suffering. If you want to live an easy life, then you never amount to anything. Our Chinese saying is that you have to suffer than most people in order to be better than most people. So that you have to suffer a lot more if you want to excel. So if you don't want to suffer, then all your aspiration to develop potential, to achieve great things for God or for society cannot be realized unless you're willing to pay the price, make the sacrifice. Now here's another common phenomenon. Most people, when they have problems, when they mistake, what do? They point a finger at other people. They cause the trouble. They make me do it. The husband and wife often fight. They all point a finger at their spouse, not themselves. They cause the trouble. They don't understand. They have no empathy. They have no compassion. In every couple come to see me, seldom they realize that they are also part of the problem. So indeed, there are many evil people in the world hunting for their victims. So we can never blame the victims. But still, even other people might have caused the suffering, but we still have the responsibility for our recovery, for our healing, for our growth. The moment we own our life, the moment we own our healing, that is the moment we begin to heal, begin to move forward. Then we'll be able to transform anger, resentment into positive energy for growth, for action. Now we're all familiar with emergency stress response. Now here's something interesting, okay? In the jungle, in old days, the enemy is visible. And when we are mobilized to fight, it often is very useful. You feel the predator is too strong for us, the best way is to run. If we're able to have a chance of winning, then we stand on the ground and fight. But nowadays, our enemies are invisible. When we have cyber attack, all kinds of what the system is discriminatory. So often, in a digital world, in a complex society, our enemy is not an animal. Our enemies are invisible and complex. Whom we fight? How do we escape? Similarly, often our enemy is our inner demon within ourselves. Our fears, our jealousy, our envy, our anger. How do we escape from ourselves? You can move to a different city, and you can change your jobs, but your problem is still with you. You cannot escape from yourself. So the old emergency stress response can mobilize the body, but doesn't really solve the problem, because all modern life living problems are much more complex. They require our cortex, our brain, require collective work, require much more than our physical bodies. So therefore, if we apply the old way of coping, the primitive way of coping, we'll be exhausted. Because the stress symptom mobilize your body, use of energy, still doesn't solve the problem. So I have no time today to talk about the different ways of solving all the complex problems. But I just want to briefly mention that for issues that cannot be readily solved through problem solving, through our own ability, we can resort to meaningful coping. Research has shown that reappraisal can be a very powerful way of coping. You reframe it, you reappraise it differently, in a more positive way, then you're better. And also we know that accepting and letting go is very powerful. So sometimes we just have to let go. Very often, denial, running away, makes it worse. We might as well face it, accept the problem. The third is finding a silver lining or benefit finding. A smart way of coping with complex stress is that we can always learn something from our suffering. Do not waste our suffering. Do not waste COVID-19. If we do not learn the lesson, the problem will come back again and again. But once we have learned the lesson, the problem is no longer a problem. Okay? We know prayer and meditation helps. We know expressive writing helps with the trouble. We also know the life review, how to put your life together, create a better story about your life. So there are many ways we can handle problems through meaning. So here's another way to look at the problem, okay? Earlier I mentioned that problem can add some depth to our lives, okay? So do you want to live a happy life? Do you want to live a good life? Try to live a deep life. Then where my strength come from? My strength comes from I'm willing to dig deeper and deeper. If there's no solution, I keep on digging deeper and deeper until I find some way out. If when we dig deeper, then our root getting deeper. When our root getting deeper, then we're more likely to grow taller and spread our branches. So our growth and our ability to endure suffering are related. Ronnie's earlier testimony mentioned how suffering adds depth to his life. It can add depth to anybody's life. You can't develop depth, you can't develop your root if your life is sheltered, you have no experience of suffering. So parents often make a mistake of overprotecting their children. But they don't develop their strength. They don't develop their capacity for endurance, for perseverance, until they have actually gone through suffering. So that's why I say, in the long run, if you face it properly, we can all benefit from better experiences. Okay? And another part of meaning therapy is to working with the inner working, to work with the inner workings of human nature, to understand our basic human need. So I often ask my clients whether they have meaningful work, whether they have good relationship, and whether they have a spiritual element in their lives. We're made for that. If we do not, if you don't have meaningful work, if you don't have some money, if you don't have work, that will ruin us. If we do not work, then our brain will die. So meaningful work is part of make us feel alive, make us feel life meaningful. Work contributes to flourishing. Relationship is also a big part of our life. We are social animals. We are wired for relationship. So we need to cultivate relationship. But everybody knows that you cannot have intimate relationship without accepting the pain involved. Other people is hell, other people is our heaven. Your spouse is your heaven, your spouse can also be your hell. Because the person closest to you can hurt you most. So in order to cultivate relationship, we have to prepare to suffer for being close, suffer for the intimacy, suffer for enduring the annoying part of the spouse, and for accepting the annoying part of the spouse. So there's no perfect human being. So we all have our limitations. We all have our problems. So therefore, you cannot suffer. So love is not suffering. You cannot accept other people's fault. Then can never have a good marriage. You know, when I end up divorced, I'll marry another one. If I can't stand that, I'll marry another one. So finally, the spiritual part, the search for spirituality is related to the search for meaning. So you are connected with some higher power, connected with the cosmos, with the wonders of the something much greater than ourselves, connected, feel that we are part of the galaxy, of the universe, then we'll be able to transcend the time and space and limitations of this life. So that's why I say meaning therapy is a powerful healing, because it facilitates our search for meaning, search for the meaning of suffering, the meaning of life, and also meaning therapy emphasizes our need for meaningful relationship, and it also help us to learn how to work and love and play, how to be a fully human being. So we can practice meaning therapy ourselves and focus on the important needs. Human beings are holistic. We all have spiritual need.